Alright. I'll probably just go straight into it. I got some matches from Aether from the Rev Tuesday just happened. I wanted to analyze them. And then I'll probably try my best. I realize if I'm gonna analyze Gibbs matches, I'm gonna try my best to write some stuff for them down too before I forget, because otherwise I forget too. Yeah. There we go. General thoughts on this matchup. I think I like Baiken in this matchup. I don't think Heian has much going for her outside of like damage output and a stun output. I think she does a lot of stun, which is like very scary. If you eat like a counter hit and then like a Shinken loop, you might just like die. But outside of that, I don't think it feels that bad for Baiken. I like it quite a bit. I think Baiken's tools in this matchup are really strong for neutral specifically, which is not normally the case, it feels like, with her. But Heiken's neutral is like so underwhelming that she can often like play. Baiken can play really slow and reactive in a matchup like this because Kabari doesn't interact with Fireball at all, which means that you can kind of like use that to harass Heian a lot if they're just trying to set Fireball. And Fireball is the same. Fireball goes right under her Tuner Ball. So, and then if they're airborne a lot of the times you can try to pay as much attention as you can to if they've extended their air resources and they have to do the kick. And then in certain spacings, you can just like Escabari that for free, or even Baiken 6p is actually pretty strong. Or you can give space and then catch them on the way down. But I like this matchup from what I've played of it. Yeah, so a little like early on, I'd say I'd watch out. And this matchup specifically, Heian just committing to the grounded DP is very scary against options like that, against like IAD jump S. And like I said, you have really good neutral tools for kind of like holding a mid range against Heian. So like, let me see. So like, this isn't quite the range, but Baiken can stand like pretty much like right here, I'd say, against Heian, and it feels for the most part pretty good. Like I said, if she does the tuner ball, then your fireball goes underneath it, like that. If she does tuner ball, you can also claw and it goes right through it. It just doesn't interact with it because it doesn't have hurt blocks. It also doesn't clash, which is really nice. And then you always also have the option of if you 2H at low profile, so tuner ball as well, which is nice. And then it basically makes it feel like even if she sets up the tuner ball, she can't play around it very well. Because if she wants to approach on the ground, a lot of the times you can use one of these options to sort of like poke at her while she's trying to play around the ball, which kind of makes her feel like she's forced into the air. But at this angle, right, like you have air claw that covers like up here. You also just have like your general 6p if you wait. Like in 6p is pretty okay. It's not busted, but it's definitely not bad. And the fact that she has a Gatling round after it, that's like a pretty good block string too, is like just icing on the cake. But I would say because of how strong these grounded options are, and how reactive Baiken can play in the matchup, I honestly don't try to IAD too much like that in the matchup. I try to stay relatively grounded versus Heian when I can, because Heian's reward on anti-airs is like really high, and you don't want her to feel like she can get those, right? So like you see instantly, right? Like just locking in anti-air options like that, especially against a character like Baiken that's known to be in the air so much, and then that's just a lot of stun. Good on them to get the three hits of the loop. And then obviously this is like the surface level like thing that people anticipate in this matchup. Is the idea that you can red Azami set play like this with the ball, which is really good. Don't get me wrong, it's really good. I usually like establishing the idea of it and then just leaving it alone. Because as good as that is, all they have to do is block and they'll start getting free punishes, right? If you don't want to like respect the Oki ever, right? And then same idea. You want to stay on the ground more often. See how he's like jumping up and starting to get caught by these air options. Nice. Good recognition, yeah. I don't think that was gonna knock down. Yeah, that wasn't. So good recognition to go into the claw like that on the reset. You don't get a burst punish from that far. The FD makes things a little tricky. Yeah, so I noticed that kind of fast, I'd say. And like so far in like the beginning of the match, you don't have to hold a back so much against Baiken, especially like the way that they jumped into you, right here, would have been pretty easy to 6P actually had you just stayed on the floor and kind of like played a more grounded game there. Get 2H to jail. I get stuffed out with the claw. Wow, that's surprising. I think you were a little slow on it because they didn't press 2P. So you definitely could have frame trapped there if you had done it right. Oh, misses the confirm. Right. This is always, and this is like an important skill for every Baiken. It's pretty hard to get used to it, but if you're gonna be setting tatamis like that, you want to try your best to wait like as long as you can pressing buttons, especially because the tatami splats so late, right? Like you see it still like it still would splats like right now, which means you can wait a really long time before you press a button like you did. And waiting that extra bit of time makes it so that you can hit confirm when people get hit by random stuff like that. Nice. Oh, messes it up. You got a punch there. She's heavy. She's one of the super heavies. So right here, you got to punch. Generally, like most of the time against the super heavies, you usually just do punch JS JD. Because raw JS takes too long to connect most of the time. Like there, you would have needed a JP again, probably. And gets caught by tech buttons. Oh man, party. I'm assuming that was claw? Oh no, it was just 5H. That's pretty scary. I guess it does beat a lot of Heihen's starting options, but I don't 5H too much at round start. It's pretty intimidating. I only press 5H if I think they're trying to counter poke. They're trying to low profile my forest or something. But it's a knockdown. This is at the safe jump. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Heihen, she wakes up a little late. I don't remember though. Yeah. That's what happened. I like it. Yeah, see, so this kind of thing I was talking about. In neutral, because you're focusing so much on these like these other options, like had you done a claw here with the extra space after this Tommy, you would have counter hit this kick, right? This is kind of like a part of playing Baiken after you do IAD back to Tommy's. The value of claw is always like really high randomly because it just confirms so nicely on counter hits most of the time that keeping that option in mind is great, right? If had you done it, it would have just blown him up pretty much regardless of the claw that you did. If you had done anti-air claw from here, it catches them on the way down, like right around here. And if you had done horizontal claw too, actually, they would have kicked into the hitbox and they would have gotten counter hit around here, and both of which would have led into confirms, right? But don't be afraid to just do that IAD back to Tommy like you did, like the one you just did. You IAD back, set tatami, and then behind that tatami, you just pick a direction. Do I want to claw up here, or do I want to claw in front of me? It's a great way to kind of like just punish random stuff in neutral, or like random movement, chasing her down too aggressively, stuff like that. It gets caught really well by claw. There's Red Azami. He misses the follow-up though, right? He holds it a little too long. In general, unless they're really good at baiting Red Azamis, just lock it in, man. Like you don't gotta wait. You don't gotta make it a mix-up until they actually react, you know? Oh, and then Heihen, unless they're really good at spending meter to bait out Azami, I usually wait for stuff like this, and I just stand Azami it like all the time. I just do it like all the time. Mostly because even if she does YRC it, her reward on the throw is very minimal. It's just some ball oki, which obviously you can abuse whenever you feel like. That I feel very confident just playing grounded defense against her. Yeah, and then try not to get baited by stuff like this from Heihen. A lot of her options like this are pretty Hail Mary. As soon as you see that whiff, as soon as you see this situation setting up where they do the DP, the grounded DP, you can claw. As soon as this happens, just claw. You'll just punish them for basically anything they do, or 2H. You want to pick 2H instead. Both of which are really strong here. But jumping kind of gives them exactly what they want, I'd say. Oh, misses the confirm. Oh, I'm not super like, and this is kind of like a big point to express, I'd say. This is like a big part of the reason why doing red Azamis all the time is a problem too. Because yeah, you can kind of RPS your opponent, right? You have a fireball that you can do that has no invincibility, but it's plus. So if they're just hard committing to blocking, you could fireball and it'd beat it up. You can side switch and you like throw them out of like a slow button. You can stab the slow button. You can even just hold a zombie and do nothing, right? There's a lot you can do off of a zombie, but the problem is when you're doing all these things, you have to make assumptions about your opponent, right? None of them are outright safe options, right? Which is why I think that red Azamin set play constantly is kind of like a bait for a lot of beginner Baiken players, because you see the temptation to disrespect set play, but at the same time, it's not going to consistently win. So you'll end up in situations like this where he might have thought, oh, maybe he'll pick like sweep, and then he crossed up and he got hit by a jab, right? Stuff like that. Where it's okay to just block once you've read a zombie a few times, because all you need to really do is establish that idea. You don't need to keep going after that. A lot of the times people remember stuff like that, unless they're like really not paying attention. Then yeah, you would do it more, you know. Messes up. Let me see. Is it supposed to be a Zonson, I'm guessing? No, it wasn't. It was just like awkward reset pressure. And then right there, 6P. 6P so good, man. 6P works wonders right there. Her 6P hits like perfectly in this range above her. And even if they did the kick back, I think here, like had they done the aerial kick that pulls back and delays their descent a little bit, I want to say 6P might recover fast enough that you don't get hit. And even if it doesn't, as long as you only 6P and then hit confirm the 6P into 5H, you wouldn't get counter hit anyway off of whiffing the 6P. But it's a lot better in the situation because it beats way more stuff than pressing this 5K. Get the stab off, 6K. Oh, you missed your meaty, yeah. Sucks. Nice. Oh, misses the jump S input. 5K. Okay. That's gonna knock down. Oh, it isn't. Wow, I'm surprised. I guess it's because of that initial hit. I think me personally, I probably would have just taken the 5H knockdown off of this. Not that you can't do the loop. Obviously, he got some hits in. The reason I would just do the 5H into running slash knockdown is pretty much because I know it's gonna knock down. If I go into this dust loop without the 50 meter to guarantee the knockdown, if I want to do that, I have no idea whether or not this loop will like end. Had he done jump P here in the loop, there's a stronger chance he could have gotten a knockdown, especially because it's super heavyweight or whatever. He could have done punch slash dust, and it closes the gap between you. A lot of Baiken's knockdowns and a lot of her combo routes off of the loops are very dependent on how much distance you've built with your opponent, right? So doing jump S, jump D leaves Baiken like around here when her opponent is splatting off the wall like that. However, if you do punch S, D, then you end up like here instead, and now the opponent is splatting like much closer to you, and it gives you alternative things that you can do. Whereas sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes you don't want to add extra hits because you'll end up in a space where she's too close to them as they're bouncing off the wall, and when you air dash in like this, they will actually cross you up, and your dust loop will end. Long story short, when doing dust loops, and this will become easier over time, it's very important to pay attention to how fast it seems like they're starting to come down off of the wall, like how fast their character descends, because that factors in a lot in terms of how much distance you need to build between them so that when they fall, you line up with them perfectly when you're doing loops, right? That's something that you kind of get a feel for over time, I'd say. You start to sort of like see the rate at which characters fall. 5H again at round start. That time I think it was Corey though, right? Was it? No, it's just 5H again. I mean, against Heian, honestly, I just run away most of the time at round start. She doesn't have that much that she can do about you running away. As long as you're really safe about it, you can like just straight up IAD back and do nothing if you feel like it. The reason you do nothing is because if you do IA back to Tommy and she's 6Hs, I think it counter hits you and you get destroyed for doing it. But like I said, I feel so confident against her on the ground normally that I don't mind giving up a round start at Campbell because I don't feel like I need it as much as she does. Yeah, and then hey, what's up, Miguel? And then this is more of like this is just kind of like a recurring theme, right? I've noticed is when you set to Tommy's, you don't ever claw behind them. It looks like, right? Had you clawed again, it would have won in this situation. I'd say the simple way to think of it is. When you're in a situation like this as Baiken, when you ID back and you Tatami, I can tell why he did this, by the way. He thought he meatied the Tatami, so he was trying to set up a Tatami like that and then a Tatami back in. I'm guessing I'm assuming that's what he thought happened. But I'm kind of saying like in general, anytime you do a Tatami like that where it's like an IAD back one and the character you're fighting isn't actionable, you only lock in options like Tiger Knee Tatami, like the Kita Tatami, if you are positive that your opponent is more. Hey, what's up, Nano? If you're positive that your opponent is more scared of you, then you want to pick those aggressive options. But if your opponent's already kind of doing stuff for you in neutral like that, feel free to just Tatami and hide behind claws all day. You'll just catch them kind of flailing their limbs and get reward for free. And then, yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. It's okay to do this, but he's done it every time, right? And you want to block Heian's mix-ups every now and then. This is true for everybody. You can't just Azami all the time against set play. Mostly because the point of set play is that your opponent is plus. They're not minus. They're plus. They're plus enough to do set play. Which means if you're plus enough to do set play, you're plus enough to wait for Azamis too. Which is why it's important to not always gamble and just block every now and then, right? Especially if you're not comfortable with the RPS constantly. I would say in general, by the way, having noticed the habits that you've picked out of Azami, I'd just do stab a lot more. The thing about stab that's great is people will see the stab reward. Like when you hit them, they're like, man, that's a fat reward if you can hit the combo. And then they'll be like, yeah, I'm not gonna press many buttons against this anymore. And you'll notice that off of their initial Oki, they're a lot more scared. Confirms the knockdown. Oh, that's actually like bad on them. Joey should have just taken the knockdown there. You take knockdown, you set ball. Unless they missed it. I don't know if that's the input for tuner ball. It isn't, I think. I think tuner ball's quarter circle forward. And same thing again. You were in this context again earlier, where you kind of like checked into the corner and they were above you. You don't want to go into the air like that as much as Baiken. Not unless you're willing to like Tatami on the way down and spend some meter to make it a lot safer. Law. Yeah. Also, this is tough in general, I'd say, against or like against anyone as Baiken, but you have to be willing to go for things that feel intimidating as her, like anti-air claw, right? Because when you're too far, people will start holding up against Baiken in general. So you definitely want to like anti-air claw in ranges like this and deny people that up back, make them feel like they have to sit and block things forever. Characters with short range, such 5-frame buttons, have to IB to punish the stab too. It depends on how good the set play is. Some people are just right next to you. They really don't need a fast button. It's like minus 16, no 14 on regular block, which is plenty of time to input a micro dash, unless you're very far. But most people can micro dash into their fastest normal, and it's like super fast. Heian also has that 4-frame 2P, so it's not really relevant for her. Oh, is he gonna do jump P? Oh, jump K. That works too. Goes for the reset, which is kind of ambitious. But it works out. Oh, I don't like that though. Let's see. I cannot tell if this was on purpose, but if it was, I don't approve. There's not much reason to, especially as Baiken, there's not much reason to OTG your opponent here. I'd say like pretty much ever if you can set it to Tommy, because you have to remember, outside of like fast wake up times, you can pretty much just set to Tommy and block if you're scared of reversals. That's pretty much true in like most cases, as long as the ender is good, which is like kind of what happened here. You did like reset and they did sorry, yeah, you did this. The ender is fine. You have a lot of plus frames to work with off of this ender because you see that Baiken lands like a good bit before her opponent. So you can definitely set a tatami there that doesn't get bodied by a reversal. So if that was what the OTG was for, I'd say you don't need to do that. Just kind of keep playing behind your tatami offense. Get splits. Put this back. Wins the war. Bursted. I think me personally would just say armor. You can armor dash. Beat the button. What, out of Azami? No. If you're still talking about the Azami thing, nah, you can't do that. Off OTG? Well, I'm saying, why would you do that? You don't really, it's more so like, there's no reason to OTG. That's kind of like what I'm implying here. You have so much frame advantage that you could set a very safe, meaty tatami off of this ender. You could set a tatami that's going to beat everything if you jump back and just tatami. If you reversals, you just have to block it. That doesn't mean... This is true for everyone. If I think you're going to flash kick in most contexts, I just block if I can't bait it, right? Most reversals, you just have to block at against as Baiken. Is it good damage? Just take my word for it. There's no way that the OTG scramble is ever better than consistent like tatami oki in the context of Guilty Gear, like this game. Just not. You want that consistency. You don't want to scramble in tournament like that. You just give your opponent opportunities. Hey, what's up, Tam, man?
As the kids say pog.
They do say that. So if Heian ever does this ball, if they ever put it in the air or even on the ground like that, I just start Azamiing it airborne. Specifically airborne, because when you're airborne, they can't like play around that, oh, is he doing low or is he doing high Azami? Good to do every now and then. I disagree. I think if you know how to play around your tatami, the plus frames on it are messed up. Punish? Oh, that's so unlucky. He missed the combo. He actually could kill off of this. The max extension on this route would have led to IK. That's a tricky combo to get. Oh, good reset. Now you can get OTG. It'll kill. Yeah. Even if he hadn't stunned, even without meter, this kills because you have so much plus frames off of this ender. You can actually just mash jab. You can do mash. You have like 4 OTGs. You're sad because you're a Wi-Fi gamer for 3 weeks, so you feel bad about playing fighting games. Just play Strive. Pretty good. Play Strive, man. With the rollbacks for him. Round start, gets caught holding back. Doing the optimal thing every single time is only good if it's unbeatable. We can talk about this another time. But believe me, you're here late. Nah, you're good, Aether. Don't even sweat it. I'm posting these on YouTube. You're good. Take my word for it. I'm the Baiken player. The Tamioki is king. You don't need to scramble as her. Tamioki is just that good, man. Caught holding back. Gambling a lot again against Fireball. Kind of lucky. Yeah, see, like, against airborne opponents too, especially a character like Heian that has so many random air options, you can just stay on the floor. Nice. That was really good. That was really good to recognize the situation that you can't jump back there. You have to commit to jump forward. The only thing I would say is at this height, it benefits you way more to do tatamis on the way down, especially if you've built the momentum to drift out of your opponent's anti-air range, which you have by this point. So the way that this situation is like playing out, you've already drifted past. Once you do that double jump, you're gonna like fall in like this arc basically, which means that you can tatami very safely for the most part against a lot of characters outside their 6p range. And get that nice tatami splat. It's either gonna hit and you get a combo. If they anti-air you, it's gonna like pop them up for a free combo, or if they block, you just get free pressure. But doing that jump S on the way down, it's not bad. It's just even if you hit with it, the reward isn't very high at all. You just kind of poke them like that. We're setting the tatami has a lot more value off that height. Scramble could be running Kire. Yeah, that's tough. You can also, this is I didn't even really notice this. I haven't really been paying attention to this, but this is also a bit of a side note. Baiken's tatamioki, like in general, off like JD, is pretty dependent on your opponent's weight class, because that determines how far they fly before they fall onto the floor, and also how like quickly they descend in general, at like any distance. So against super heavyweights like this confirm is fine, but you can like throw like 2 more normals in there. You can do like SPSD. And the reason you would do that is because it adds time for you to set that tatami, because they're falling faster than the average character. So that extra like height that you gave them just cancels out basically, and it turns into like very normal tatami oki. As you can see, as he was setting this, she was already waking up, right? And that has a lot to do with the fact that you didn't add those hits in off of that confirm, right? It's pretty subtle, but it makes a difference in terms of making it feel like you don't have to rush on your okizeme like that with the tatami sets. Can you get a combo with tatami at that range and height? Regardless, the pressure would be pretty... Yeah, you can, actually. So the way that tatami works is the first hitbox, where it kind of flops out, pops people into the air. If they're grounded or airborne, it pops them into the air, and you can react to the pop-up. But yeah, definitely want to like try to pay attention to that, like, how many buttons you use thing. Because against lightweights, you use less, and I'm pretty bad at remembering that. And then against heavyweights, you use like a bunch of buttons, so that you get better frame advantage. Oh, I'm surprised that comboed. Yeah, so she does wake up kind of late. Yeah, I remember fighting Fu and I found this out like mid-match. You have to delay your safe jump just slightly against her. It's a little annoying, but it happens. If you don't want to do that, by the way, you can actually abuse people's late wake up times in a different way. But this is RPS, so you don't need to do this RPS if you don't feel like it. But people who have late wake up times often just assume that you're gonna mess up safe jumps and will input throws on wake up like they just did with throw us. But the thing is, because they wake up so late like that, you can actually cross them up and do air dash jump P like this. Like at this height, you do that air dash jump P that I always do to people. And because they wake up so late, if they woke up with close slash, you actually punish them for it. This isn't true for other characters. Other characters that wake up at regular time, if they think you're going to air dash, they could easily just press jab most of the time and it'll beat you. Because they wake up fast enough that that's not an option that's like good at beating like wake up Ash. But Heihyun does wake up slow. So does Bedman, so does like Venom, or not Venom, is it Venom? There's a few, I can't remember them off the top of my head. But the characters that wake up slow are actually more susceptible to that delayed air dash because it's actually going to hit them kind of meaty, as opposed to the safe jump. Let me see. That might have confirmed in a jump D, but he gets the combo regardless. Misses the Tommy. And then this is kind of like a subtle thing, but if you see your opponent kind of like in the air in general here, by the way, feel free to do run up 6p. Run up 6p because you have a Gatling off of it as Baiken, which is rather cheap. You can just do run up 6p 5h, and you can essentially react to whatever happens after that. Either you run up and use 6p, that kind of air dash, and then by the 5h you kind of see what's happening, so you can like confirm into Kuchinashi. Or you do run up 6p 5h against them landing and they block, but that's fine. That's just a block string. You'll just go into a special move after that 5h, you know? Nice, that was a good 6p. And same thing, right? There are also alternatives, by the way. So you could also do what I do if you want Aether. It depends, because this is pretty hard to do. This is probably like the hardest Oki to do, I'd say. Like correctly all the time. To do like running into Kita Tatame is probably like the hardest Okizeme to do. But the thing is, you can also just do what I do, which will be easier, I'd say, probably for you, specifically because you're already good at doing a solo Kita Tatame input. Where when you do this against people, as long as you're not near the corner, which you're not right now, as long as it's like in mid screen off that knockdown, you can air dash after the end lag of jump D before you touch the ground, and then you do the Kita Tatame. You don't have to do any other inputs. You just do delayed air dash after the hit and then Kita Tatame. You successfully managed to turn an OS into a 50-50. Nice. If you're talking about when people IB 5H and then you just go into sweep, I definitely told you to do that, like instantly when you mentioned the IV, because it's like the day one mix-up. Look at shit. Melia blocking Rekka 1. Cool. Gets caught by the Shinken loop because he was late. Oh, he messes up the safe jump a little. Right here. Yeah, you can still just super jump forward. As soon as you get it, super jump forward like that. And honestly, like I said, if you're worried about messing up the safe jump timing because they wake up late, you can do that delayed air dash jump P and it hits a meaty. It's basically like the same thing. You just don't have an air dash. It's also not a safe jump, I guess. I shouldn't say it's the same thing, but it hits that meaty, you know. You don't need a safe jump Heian, do you? It's more the idea that you just, that's how you keep your turn off that knockdown as Baiken. It's the easiest thing to do. You just get a safe jump off of this. So it's like, oh, why wouldn't you? There's no reason to play around other things that have, in theory, counterplay. Keyword, in theory. Nice. Air dash? Okay, reset. Reset again? Oh, you kind of tried, I think. You tried to, like, Tatami. You try to do something. Recovers. I would have Zami. I would 100% have Zami. This is kind of like a side note for any Baikens. Anytime things get weird in mid-range like this, see how like this is mid-range? A lot of the time the kick normals don't reach here unless you're like a really good character. In these situations, I just hold crouch as Zami every now and then because the value of it in this situation is amazing. Most of the time, you're not going to get to press buttons against other people's Faresses there, but like most of the time, like you can just Zami their pokes. Yeah. Could have stayed on the ground, man. One of those things. Unless they have a command grab. I still do it to command grabbers. I just do it less often. The existence of a command grab does not stop a zombie from happening. It's just better counterplay. Oh, misses the hit confirm. Nice. I like that. He just zoned at the end. Okay. Watch that. I'm gonna write these notes briefly on the side before they like slip from my mind. Watch your matches? Sure, if you want. I can do it. Yeah, I don't mind. If you want to hear what I have to say about him, sure. Okay. Sorry, I was kind of like writing those notes on the side to like go with this. Then watch the muddy one, and then we can watch the Sal's one. Yeah. This 720? Yeah, it is. Oh man, a lot of like RPS early on. Oh, you masked? You're crazy. So scary. Nice, got the knockdown. Funny enough, I think Sin actually does wake up on time for this because it's like it's not his face up, it's his face down. It's his face up. That's weird, isn't it? So you get bursted. What do you do after you get bursted? Jump forward. Most of the time when people burst me off, I play kind of like on the. I just decide what I do based on them. Either they're defensive or aggressive. If they're kind of aggressive, then I just back off. Ugh, stuff. Oh yeah, and then that's true in general. If a character has any kind of counterplay at all to wake up Azami, you definitely want to watch out for it because he gets a pretty good chunk off of this, and if he does it right, he'll get a knockdown in the corner. He actually missed it. You do microdash 5p into 5h, and it should give him a knockdown off of this, right? And that kind of thing is like important to consider. It's kind of like why, if you actually watch me play against a lot of characters, not everyone, but against like most of the characters in the cast, I don't actually wake up with the zombie most of the time. It's usually like where the value is the most like skewed, I'd say. Waking up with a zombie is a true, like, they're gonna be next to you, right? So you can't control that really, which is why the value of it isn't as good as doing it in like neutral a lot of the times, in ranges where only pokes connect. Tries to set a safe to Tommy. Kind of gambling a lot. Sin's an interesting matchup. I don't think I play this one too much really. Whenever I have, a lot of the times, I kind of just try to gauge how aggressive they are. A lot of them will play like kind of slow, and when they play kind of slow, that's when I play fast. I'll do more things like the IAD jump S's. You're gonna head out, catch you some other time. Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for stopping by. No. I do more aggressive options. If they're more on the aggressive side, then I do the opposite, right? I hide behind the Tommies and I throw a lot of claws out in neutral. I have to see that you can deal with it, right? And I think in general, Claw feels pretty okay against Sin. Sin isn't really a character known for IEDing very often in neutral. He's often gonna like leap, if anything. So covering grounded space against Sin, at least to me, has never really felt that bad, as long as you don't commit to it all the time. Claw helps just kind of like hold this range outside of his like Forest range, which is like this, right? It makes him feel like he needs to commit to beak drivers, and committing to beak drivers against Baiken can feel very scary, especially if you hold it, because his options after it are like really hard gambles. But yeah, I'd say Claw's kind of nice, like throwing every now and then. Nice. It's inter. Can't kill off of that. Yeah. Actually, maybe he could have if he did the extension. Did a 2 and 4S into that. Might have killed. Knockdown. Ooh, he could kill. No, he made it complicated. He made it so complicated. If you do just the jump S, jump D there, it should kill, I'm pretty sure. He doesn't have much guts as a character. Or even if you do the, like, land here, you don't have to do the optimal stuff, like the 6H. You can hella just press, like, 5k close slash and do, like, another jump S, jump D, if anything. But the easiest thing there's definitely just, like, a really, like, simple confirm. Don't gotta worry about it. That sucks. Oh no. And then yeah, this is kind of like the thing though, right? So against characters like Sin, it might feel very tempting to run up to mid-range and just commit to a zombie, right? Because all his options feel like they're mids. But they're not, right? He has Bull Bash. And Bull Bash is pretty whatever, because like you can also just alternatively react to them doing Bull Bash and do stand a zombie if you feel like it. The problem is Sin can technically DP if he thinks you're gonna try to call out his pokes. He can like see you as zombie and like DP on reaction, and it's kind of like RPS, but it's weird because you can also just hold your zombie against him if you feel like it, and it's hard for him to like really deal with that super well. But that's kind of besides the point. The point is you don't really want to like make assumptions about him doing beak driver stuff. You can usually try to react to them, or if anything, just block for a while, right? And wait for like much more obvious things, so that you don't get caught by random stuff like this. Because the reward on this counter hit Bull Bash is half your HP, and it's quite a bit of stun. So you don't really like want to fall for that. I went for the optimal combo. Nice. Make up mash. Oh yeah, and then that's tough. That's like a zombie familiarity, right? Like knowing when to do what follow-ups, right? Because the follow-up that you do here is you do running slash, right? Because running slash beats anything that is not DP. Obviously if he DPs, you'll kind of like running slash into it, but even still, it's only active for like 1 frame. So there's a strong chance that sometimes you don't even get caught by DP. It depends a lot. But had he done running slash, he gets a counter hit for sure. Even if he did that YRC, that YRC is not fast enough for beating running slash. Wake up 4H. Oof, that's tough. It's a little harder to do, but if you want a better route here, off of near corner, not in corner, you can actually do micro dash 5k. You do micro dash 5k 5h and a Kuchinashi, and it picks up into like a normal route. Normal as in like you do like 5k and then jump K and jump D, and then from there it's just like an SD and an ender. Oh my god, that was scary. Throw. And Nikita Sasame. Oh, you gotta be careful actually. So ironically enough here, you're actually far too plus. And this isn't because of Sin, this is just because you're far too plus in general. You did the setup too fast. Off of throw, if you want, you can do the setup that I stole from Mystic. I just do what Mystic does. Mystic does microdash 5p into Kita Tatames. And then that should usually set up the spacing you want. But if you do like a straight up running Kita Tatami, you're like way too plus. Like look how the Tatami just misses entirely. Good fuzzy jump. Good Zami. Kind of scary, but it works out. And yeah, see, like kind of like the same thing. In situations like this, Azami is a really scary option. Not because of Bull Bash necessarily. Obviously, he Bull Bashes when he was Azami, which is unfortunate. But the reason it's scary is because he wasn't really he wasn't in a spot where I would say he felt pressured to press a button, right? People know what your character has counters. So you want to catch them off guard. You don't want to do your Azamis when it feels like the situation is very under control, if that makes any sense. You want to wait for it for when it's like, oh, I'm suddenly behind you. Oh, we both whiff moves kind of thing. Like, that's when the zombies are good. When you're catching them off guard like that. But when people are conscious of it, they'll really like hold back on how much they press buttons if they're used to the idea of Baiken. And it's caught holding it back by Bull Bash. Oh, a little short, yeah. It's tough. He hits his jump S a little too far. So because of that, he has to compensate. And he actually had to overshoot. He could have done, without a run, he could have just done a regular Tatami. Like a full air dash IAD Tatami. Would have worked here. Nice. Oh, actually, fun fact, you can pretty much red Azami this on reaction, and there's not really anything Sin can do about it. If you block JD like this, you can look at him, and if you start seeing the animation for this coming out, you can just red Azami. You can red Azami running slash into true counter hit punish. It's pretty messed up. It basically forces them to not do that. Definitely worth like knowing. Don't tunnel vision on it, but know that that exists. You know, kind of thing. And then there's another situation, kind of similar. Doing these tatamis, right? Like this time it was fine that you ran up, but you've never really done these tatamis and like played around the claws that you can do after them, which is like always a very valid option to go for. First out. You could have stayed in the corner there. It's a subtle thing though, but you can like jump back to Tommy there, and it's pretty okay at protecting you. It's a lot better when you have 25 meter, but you were in an awkward spot after the burst anyway. Who gets to pick up 5H or slash? Nah, I'm gonna guess a lot of these resets, if I had to guess, are maybe because of uncertainty on knockdowns. Like, oh, is this gonna knock down? Is this not gonna knock down? Because missing knockdowns as Baiken is really scary, right? Because the move that you knock people down with is awful on whiff. It's really bad if they recognize the whiff in time. I know people like to say that it feels like uppercut recovers really fast, and that's because it does. It doesn't have much landing lag, but the point is that I'm in the sky for like half a second. You have plenty of time to see me up there and press a button as I'm coming down, right? So I understand his concern with, oh, you know, maybe I'll just reset instead of going for knockdowns, because if this move whiffs, it's a bad spot for me. But you were so early in the dust loop, right? It's only one rep of a dust loop that you could easily do 5H ender or just 6H ender into into the Kuchinashi, and you'd be fine. You wouldn't have to worry about the reset. Knockdown, Tommy set. What did he want? He wanted like wake up special move. It's weird. I don't know what that was supposed to do. And same thing. the thing about doing this Tatami into claws immediately is that the punishes to the claws are very specific, right? So if you do this Tatami, right? This is a good example to like talk about it off of. You do this Tatami, and you fire a claw like this, it doesn't go that far. But it goes like here, right? So claw goes like here. For the horizontal one, the only real punish to that is if your opponent commits to IAD, like as this is happening, and then punishes you on the way down. And claw is pretty fast in general, so it's pretty hard to even get a true punish on Baiken. You can force her in a block, probably, but whether you get a true punish or not is actually pretty like, I don't actually know. It's pretty tricky to say. You have to act pretty fast. But the thing is, if they're like, oh, screw that, I know he's, gonna set this claw up, I'm gonna IAD over and get this punish on this Tatami claw, you can just anti-air claw, right? Like that. And you're so far away from them, and this Tatami splash is like splashing kind of late here, that it's really hard for people to interact with this situation before. I've talked about it a little before in like other analysis about how doing this IAD back Tatami like that is annoying for most characters. It's not like it doesn't have counterplay, it's just that it requires you to react really quickly and guess right more often than not. And her reward when she guesses right is usually way higher than yours. Like, had you done horizontal claw there, it could have maybe hit Beak Driver. That's like a big fat maybe though. Oh, and then this is kind of like another like side thing. As good as his 6P is, you got to put some respect on tech buttons in this game. Tech buttons is so strong. Even if he had run forward 6P, there is a chance that if you delay your tech long enough, because you know that Sin's not going to get a combo off this anymore. If you delay your tech long enough, you're going to be much lower to the floor. And that tech jump S, tech jump P, whatever you pick, is a lot more potent against anti-airs, even if people are trying to like look for you to do tech buttons. Super. I don't disagree with that Redazami. He just kind of like messed up getting out of the corner. Messed it up a little. I messed up. Oh, you're crazy. I would have backdash after that idea. Oh, you're gonna get caught. Yeah. That fucks. Nice. Oh, you could have done the claw confirm. Claw confirm also would make your Ogizeme a lot easier there. So if you ever, pretty much like if you ever hit this counter hit on a grounded opponent, specifically a grounded opponent, you just always do the claw. As like the easiest burst safe kind of confirm, and also just does the most damage. And it'll make it so that you don't have to worry about like the plus frame thing I talked about or setting your Tatamis correctly. Holds it. Doesn't get the counter hit though. Catches them messing up DP, I think. Yeah. That's kind of why I'm saying, right? Like a zombie on wake up is cool most of the time, but the fact is, like, it's when your opponent has the most control over how they want to play against the zombie, which is why waking up with the zombie is like such a bait unless they're doing like fake safe jumps or something like that, right? Like something you can play a little better off of. But if it's just kind of like situations like that stuff, it's caught holding it. Oh, he could have confirmed off of that. Confirmed off of that. Nice. I like the heat block. No too far to combo. Oof, I think it's hot. Yeah, so situations like this, right, where your opponent's like really close to you and they're like kind of like near you. I try my best to refrain from pressing buttons personally as Baiken because her buttons feel so scary to press. A lot of times I keep waiting until something like this is happening, where they like jump back and then they air dash forward. Something where it feels like I can play off of the situation better. Like I can 6P here a little more comfortably, regardless of what he had done, right? Because against people in the scramble, it's really good to know when things. Oh, that's a good safe shot. Good to know when things are gonna like actually combo and they're not gonna combo, and it looks like your opponent has to back off. 6B, you can just do it on reaction. that situation, when you see him YRC, you have to do it too. You have to YRC and FD as soon as you can to make sure that you don't get caught by the anti-air for free. Yeah, that's one versus Muddy, and there's only one more. This is the winners that I believe against Salves. Oh, this one's long. I don't remember this one being this long. And then general thoughts on this matchup. I have only really played it like against Vero and sometimes against Salves. So far against both of them, littering the screen with active hitboxes is pretty tricky for Slayer to play around, as you would expect, right? The difference is that Baiken gets a lot of like ability to just react off of like the Tommys and stuff. So when she litters the screen with the Tommys or claws, a lot of the times her reward on hit is like really good. And it means that you can basically make Slayer do work in this matchup. The important thing to remember against a character like Slayer is it's not like it is against other characters where it feels like you might feel pressured to approach. In a matchup like this, Slayer is pressured to approach. It's his job to come at you, right? And you kind of want to like understand that because it means that you can feel more confident in just playing defensive in general and waiting and trying to get Slayer to run into things. The more you approach him, the more he's kind of like happy. Unless it's your turn, obviously. Don't give up your turn, but you get what I mean. Messes up, but oh no, he did want that actually. Messes up the combo. Yeah, so stuff like that is like a good example of like things that Slayer would have to deal with in this matchup, right? ID back to Tommy, run forward. If you got hit, you get a confirm. You can actually reverse Gatling here. You can do PSD after this S, and you'll get a closer knockdown, which is like what you want, so that the Tommy splash isn't as far. Counter. I would air dash there. A lot of people try to throw this air dash like this, but most of the time you're too high unless they commit to a super jump when you attack. Like you can see even him super jumping, he probably would have missed it, maybe. But I just air dash out there. Sometimes people get the throw, sometimes they don't. I don't really mind the throw punish most of the time. Speed, nice, good speed. He's gonna cross him up, yeah. So this is actually an example of what I was talking about earlier, right? So he hits him so high up, he needed some extra distance between him and Salves before he went into this dust loop. So what you would do off this situation is, if you recognize it fast enough, even I don't recognize this super fast, but you would do neutral jump off the jump S. You wouldn't do jump forward, because when he wall bounces like this, you can see the problem I talked about earlier. Where is it? Here. The opponent has too much height for a dust loop to work, right? Because by the time where's my whiteboard? By the time you're air dashing in and you do the jump S, the opponent is like up here. And you hit with the first hit. So what ends up happening is you air dash in and you hit jump S, and they're like right here. They're like getting hit kind of up here with jump S. But when you do jump D's hitbox is like over here, and they kind of just fall out of the combo like that. Because you air dash, you have to air dash too soon. Like the opponent is too high up here. You want it to be so that instead of him being up here, like, so if his center of body is like right here, you want him to be like, you want that center to be like down here instead, so that when they fall, they line up. They get hit. They're further down when they get hit by this jump S. You can fix combos like that. That's pretty much like the main thing that Baiken's worrying about against a lot of characters when she's comboing them, is to make sure that she lines them up falling down with her air dashes correctly so that she can loop them. But sometimes it's awkward, and sometimes you'll see me mess it up. It's a big reason why I do, on certain extensions, you'll see me do like, oh, I messed this up. I'll do like air dash, jump K, and then I'll just do Yozansen immediately, because you don't get anything else. And Yozansen is like okay frame advantage. And you just like pay attention to how they tech, you know? Pitches a 6p. Yeah, against Slayer, a lot of the times, obviously he has a lot of counterplay to the safe jump. I'm actually surprised this didn't work. A lot of the time Sweep is really good at catching Slayer's wake up options. But if I'm not scared of them Tataming, I pretty much like always just like, or sorry, Tataming. If I'm not scared of them doing Blitz, I just kind of like Tatami there. And Tatami destroys him trying to do like anything on wake up, pretty much, that isn't like bite or running away, maybe? I don't know. This thing hits really meaty when you do the Tatami like that. that you mostly only ever worry about him doing BDC bite or blitz there. And you also have other alternatives. You can also do that delayed air dash I talked about, and it's pretty good at catching stuff like that from him. Well, that shouldn't have worked if you pick the faster follow up, right? So if you do this Azami, this is kind of like true in general. This is like a general like rule of thumb when Azamiing people in situations like this. If you're in neutral and you're Azamiing like stray hits like this, like pokes and stuff, just do running slash most of the time. Like 9 out of 10 times you want running slash because of the speed it provides. Where it's like a lot of the time stab is so slow that he'll get stuff like that against it. He'll get the YRC and block, right? But running slash is like significantly faster, to the point where when he connects with this, if he tried to YRC, there's a strong chance he just got counter hit out of the YRC startup if he did running slash. It's caught, trying to BDC stuff. Oh, misses the hit confirm. Yeah, and then, let me see. Oh, so you've just been missing it. You've been inputting your 2Ks too early, I see. Or your 5Ks or whatever that was supposed to be, right? Or no, wait. No, yeah, actually, no, I'm reading the inputs wrong. I've noticed this a few times too. After your enders, if you're gonna tatami like that, just do run up 2K. If you're fast enough, you might even get to react to them getting plopped by the tatami, and then just like jump up and press jump E to catch the hit confirm kind of late. But you do run up 2K because it's just fast. That's like what you want to be able to react to situations like this. And there's not much point in starting pressure with 2S. And if you're worried about BDC, it doesn't work against tatamis like that. Most of the time, pretty much like ever. It splats really far and it's really active. To the point where you can like more confidently just run up behind it. But 2S after tatami isn't like especially strong. You're a lot better off just going for like a 2K or a 5K. That's super. He actually could have had a fat punish. If he crossed this up, as soon as he crossed this up, he just had to input pile bunker. Like just like, what is it? Punch is the short one. Like punch pile bunker and he gets the free counter hit. But he presses close slash, so he doesn't destroy you for it. And then as far as Slayer's pressure goes, he has like pretty telegraphed resets. You can tell based on like how far he is when he has to reset you. But I don't always Azami him. A lot of the time I just move out of the way or mash buttons. Mostly because Azami is just susceptible to bite, but also like a lot of other stuff. Like you're put in a situation where he gets to react to you if you Azami and he does nothing, kind of thing. Oh, and I know it's scary, but if Slayer is doing that to you, which is like what Slayer normally does, right? They will often like press buttons and then run away from you on like slightly minus frames like that. A lot of the times, every now and then, I do one of two things. If I want to punish him for giving me space here, I run away from him too. Like the easiest way to explain it is like he's gonna try to like stay safe here most of the time, so you don't want him to just get to do that all the time. So I'm either gonna call him out with like 2H, which pokes like all the way the heck over there, and it'll counter hit him doing dandy. Or I'm going to run away. And I'm going to run away by either running away backwards behind the tatami or committing to running away forward like that. But after you block Mappa, it's important to understand, and this is true for everybody, it's just how like it works when you fight Slayer. After you block Mappa, something is going to happen. He's only like slightly minus. So he's either going to commit to being the aggressor here, or he's going to try to bait a Barret like that. And keep his turn going. And you want to play that RPS with him, but you want to gauge how committed you are to doing crazy stuff, right? Like I said, like the 2H here, doing 2H is very aggressive. And if he just presses a button because he's only like -1 or 2, then you get smoked, right? But you can also just run away from him there, and he has to kind of go for like bigger callouts there to deal with it. Could have added a few hits. Ooh, he had the right idea on how he wanted to Tommy, but he messed it up. Oh, misses the confirm. Oh, actually, I think he could have just clawed, couldn't you? Am I crazy? Oh no, he was too far. So the only thing I would say about the situation is, I think keeping the meter's probably better here. I think, off of this, I think keeping the meter's nicer, and you just kind of play Oki. I know you've been messing up the Tommies, but meter is a really, really, really important resource when you're playing Baiken. Obviously it's important to everybody, but because your character has such a cheap option locked behind meter, it's really important that you try to like not suddenly waste meter unless you're very confident in how you're wasting the meter. Right, like sometimes I do a lot of Tatami YRCs in exchange, or sorry, in exchange, over always doing like Yazonsens, like stockpiling my meter and doing Yazonsen 50/50s. But it's because I have a lot of confidence in staying on top of people sometimes. But doing this RC, like the extension, even if you were optimal or something like that, the extended damage is probably not worth it because you would have just had safe Oki anyway. Nice, I like the run up FD, so like just in case he does anything off the plus frames. Catch him. That's gonna kill if you do it right. Yeah. Tatami does fat damage as a starter. 5H again. Could have 6P. I think he wanted. Wait, did he want armor dash? Is that what it was? Oh no, he just wanted 5K. Okay. Oh, and then I almost completely forgot to mention it. I just saw it happen. So, against Slayer, the thing that's cool about if he runs into this Tatami, this IED back Tatami, and you do claws, is the first claw, even if he blocks it, because Slayer's movement is so limited, if he blocks this claw, you can deadass just claw again to see if he dandies. And if he dandies or does something weird, it's gonna catch him. You can also just do up claw, and that's fine because he's still kind of far from you. So like what I'm saying is like after he blocks this first claw, what you do after is just not a 50/50, but it's like the two claws have so much control. It's like you do that claw and it catches him jumping back to run away, and you do another horizontal claw to catch him trying to like dandy in neutral or do something like that. But like I said, claw spam is randomly pretty strong against Slayer. Catches him doing quite a lot of things. Oh, misses the hit confirm. Oh, baits burst. I'm gonna assume this might be from watching other Baiken players. I know other Baiken players do this. Other Baiken players often run up and do 2S quite a lot. I'm not a super. This is kind of like a difference in playstyle. So I've noticed other Baikens, like the other good ones, like not really Maruken as much actually, but I've noticed Mystic does it a bit. He'll opt for like run up to S more often, and then he'll mix in like running slash in neutral, or just like armor dash in general. And I think it's fine because the RPS there is pretty strong. If you play it right, just because of how high her reward is on the counter hits. Specifically the running slash one. But I think for me personally, the way that I play in situations in neutral is I have a lot of confidence in how I can reposition myself in neutral. So when I do run-ups like this, I will often stop really preemptively and claw a lot. But you won't catch me running into my opponent like super duper far in. Okay. Oh, and this is like general tip against Slayer. Slayers will often backdash in situations, or not backdash, dandy as soon as you're running up against them. And it's a pretty subtle difference, but if you, in that situation, if you keep running past where he currently is, you'll catch him. That's the idea, at least, is like, they're so conditioned to, initially to like get away with like P dandies like that I usually just like overshoot on my normal, and a lot of the times it catches them, and it'll kind of scare them out of trying to take their turns back like that suddenly. $5K? Oh yeah, it sucks. Wrong combo. This is actually fine to do this combo. You just need to do 5K. You do 5K, I believe, and it works. I think you still had enough time to 5K. It's pretty high off the ground, and it's only 2 more frames to do it. But I think you had enough time to 5K. Otherwise, you can just do close slash into, or sorry, 2K into close slash. But the 5P is a little inconsistent. Got by the 10 angle. Good throw. Zonsen. Yeah, that's it. Game 1. Oh, see, so like right there, I would claw. I guess I don't know. Either one works, but the reason I claw is because it's just less risky. You don't have much meter to cover this option yet, and you also don't have much reason to believe that he'll jump from here. I'd say that I think claw is really good. It's also really good at catching Slayer trying to dandy there, in case he feels like doing it. But it's also just claw's just a safe reset to go for. But you go for running slash and he gets the IP. So I don't think he actually picked the true punish, did he? No, he didn't. That wasn't actually the true punish. He just messed up on the Azami right after. But that wasn't a true punish. The close slash isn't fast enough, I believe, to punish. Oh, you went for Kikyo? That's funny. Yeah, so this is the one tricky thing about Slayer. This is very easy to like not pay attention to. But you need to do something against Slayer. If you've given him full screen, he is going to do this. Because look at Slayer's meter gain once he starts doing this. Once he sees you're in like neutral like this. Look at how much meter he builds off doing this. He builds, damn, that's crazy. He builds 1/4 bar for just doing like nothing in neutral, basically. So what I do a lot of the times against Slayer here, if you're capable of doing it, is as soon as I recognize the situation, I do a really well spaced key to Tatame. Not like really deep. It's got to be spaced, right? So like, you want to key to Tatame so that when the Tatame splats, something. You want to key to Tatame so that it splats like here, or not even actually a little. Like you want Baiken to land like here and the Tatame to splash like, bam, like there. Specifically just to like harass him off that option. You don't have to get rewarded. And the reason I don't overshoot my Tatami, because when you do it shallow like that, you don't really get rewarded. You're going to hit with the second hitbox, not the first, so you don't get a combo. You don't get the pop-up if you hit him. But it's a lot safer. You don't get stuffed out of it nearly as easily. And the thing is, like, if you get greedy here and you go for that really deep Tatami, and you get called out for it, it just feels bad. Like, he's just going to get even more meter gain. Like, he doesn't get punished safely for what he's doing. Or if you space it and he tries to punish you because he thinks you're gonna overcommit, you'll just kind of like poke him out and get him to stop doing that. And if it counter hits, you can probably get a combo. Yeah, that's like an easy thing that not an easy thing. That's like a common thing I see Slayers do quite often against their opponent. They build a lot of free meter off of it. Goes for the reset, gets it. 5p. Oh yeah, you got a 5p there. I guess it's the same thing to do 2k, it's just he was a little late on the timing. He pressed it kind of late. But I do 5p here when I land. I do 5p, 6p off that kind of route. To Ender. Also, don't forget, if you're paranoid about what's it called? If you're paranoid about not ending your combos with knockdowns, you can also just super. In situations where it's ambiguous, and a lot of times a super will just get the knockdown for you. That's scary. Don't be hesitant against a character like Slayer. Against Slayer you don't get to just do this on wake up. Not because he can do this air dash, but because if he just wakes up in supers, it's gonna hit the startup of that option. So just like I would just like, if you let me see, if you mess up that combo, I don't know. I would like jump, but I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't do that I wouldn't do that air dash back. At least not instantly. Oh, he missed this throw. That should kill. Yep. Oh my god, what a crazy option. Works out. I think if you had picked it faster, you might have gotten a counter hit. Knockdown. It's pretty good meaty for Slayer. Oh, you're crazy. You actually did that? I'm never willing to throw Slayer, really. Oh, nice. I like that you did this, by the way. I don't see many other Baikens do that. When they go for anti-air claw, they're not willing to commit to the frame trap on whiff very often. He also doesn't IB it. So, instead of jumping here, what you do is you should either mash backdash or you should just block. One or the other is fine. Obviously, blocking is, you give up your turn, but you're not punishable by most things at that range. I guess he did jab though, right? Actually. I guess that might have been a punish. I'm surprised. I guess it wasn't spaced. Hold on, let me see. Oh yeah, it wasn't. That's why. I see. That's why it was a punish. So, when you're doing claws like this, you want them to not have like extra range left, if that makes any sense, right? So like, if you look at this claw when it's completely extended, there's a lot of, not a lot, but there's a bit of extra space, right? So you see how this is like, this is already enough range to catch someone jumping, and you have like this entire like up section up here, this like extra space up here. Every time you throw in that scenario, you think to yourself, God, this is going to get you killed. Yeah, it usually is. That's terrifying to throw Slayer on wake up. I try to like never do it. I just try to block or hold up, one or the other. But yeah, you see this little extra chunk? This extra chunk is basically the reason I don't get punished off of most up chains. Or up chains into the running slash specifically. Not because it's like, oh, you know, it's just that busted. It's just because when you space it, you force people to IB, right? So when you do this block string, if you add just the right amount of hits, it lets you do that up chain better space, right? So if you do far slash here off of the close slash and then you 2H, that's all you need. That's like all the extra space you need. Or you can even do 2S straight into the up chain, I think, so that you don't have a gap off of it. But it's tricky, right? Because you always remember when you do 2Hs, it leaves gaps, and sometimes you don't want that. Slayer can technically like BDC, or not BDC, Dandy some 2Hs at certain spacings. But yeah, this is one of those things where if you space it and do this, the pushback is too great and they don't get to do that 2P. It'll just whiff. It'll just whiff entirely the way it would have been spaced. You'd be too far to get hit by that. By the time he recovers. So that's like a subtle thing to like remember when you're doing the claws. Just try to practice some strings that are good for that. See, like there, I would just claw again. Honestly, I would claw again just because it's Slayer. Slayer is such a like character that's like known for getting out in situations like this, that as long as he doesn't IB it, I feel so confident in just doing another claw, because it's just gonna leave me plus again if he doesn't IB it. Oh, gets caught. Yeah. Don't what was that? I guess did you Azami? What was that? No, you press 2S. In general, don't this is like true for everybody. Don't be pressing buttons when he 6Ks you. He's generally like, he's on hit, so he's plus, right? You don't want to press buttons here. When he 6Ks you, you basically just decide if he's gonna throw you or not. Is like how you respond to it. If he throws you, you just hold up. If he presses a button, you can block it after. And then as far as Azami goes, Azami is always Azami. Yes, you can Azami, but yes, you can bait it. So, you know, gauge how you want to like handle that situation. Oh, was that supposed to be 6P? That was terrifying. You did like regular jam. Oh, it's terrifying. You got 6P. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. I've been there. Yeah, throw. Oh, he missed it. Oh, you get the burst for free. That's good. Yeah, the situations like this are why it's like so good to be able to do IAD back to Tommy's. Because even after this jump to Tommy, you still have room to go into the corner. So you can just IAD back. Anytime you want to disengage in neutral, pretty much for the most part, as Baiken, you get to just do IAD back to Tommy. It makes neutral feel a lot less scrambly. Nice. Might have to get some water. Actually, no, I can make it through the rest of this analysis. Oh, that's terrifying. He thought he would burst. He got counter hit for pressing a button with D. Let me see. And yeah, see, so like, this is cool. Like the way you're playing this is like pretty okay. I like the tatamis. The thing is, like I said, a lot of the times you want to have those claws behind the tatami. The tatami protects that grounded space in front of you, and means that they can't really go into that space, right? Like you just can't. If you go into this bubble of space, then you would let them jail you, right? If he dashes into this range, he just gets jailed, right? Which is why running up to like, you don't even have to run. You can do it in place if you want, but I usually microdash to like that space, that little spot, and I input claw like that. Because it's just this enormous, like, don't go there option to do. And even if he blocks the tatami and blocks the claws, if he's not IBing claws, it's not a threat, right? That's kind of like what makes claw so good, is your opponent has to actively do one specific thing to like make it worse. Otherwise, it's just kind of like a catch-all in a lot of situations. and it'll make the zoning with IAD back to Tommy feel a lot stronger. It'll make your opponent feel like he's getting harassed from really far away, instead of you just kind of like throwing out options in neutral, right? That he has to like commit really hard to running into. The running 2H specifically? Okay, so it was. Oh, he misses the knockdown. And then I've noticed this in general a lot too. You do a lot of tech double jump. And the thing about tech double jump is it's really scary to go for because you've extended all of your air options. And you're on the way down, and Baiken doesn't have the best descending air options, which is why you want to like avoid that as much as possible. A lot of the times with Baiken in situations like this, I just play the normal mind game of either I tech instantly, and when I tech instantly, I don't double jump. I usually IAD like back or forward if I pick an option, or I pick jump S. It's one or the other, right? So when I tech in these situations, let me see. When I tech in these situations, it's like I can ID back to Tommy, and that's pretty okay. If I tech and I'm carrying momentum backwards, I can jump S, because jump S is just this super obnoxious thing like right here that exists. That unless your opponent's willing to like really run in to call it out, it just kind of gets to work. Or in rare cases, I'll tech and like air dash forward, but that's not super off like common. It's usually like the tech back into like air dash back to Tommy thing, or the tech into jump S immediately. Or I delay my tech, and a lot of the times when I delay my tech, so instead of teching there, I tech like down here. When I tech, I'm gonna pick jump S. I'm gonna tech forward. I'm gonna jump S aggressively, because tech jump S is like a menace to society. If you get to do it low enough to the ground, it's really annoying to deal with. And honestly, even most anti-airs in the game, like the better ones, don't do super well at like stopping it, because it pokes so hard at people's shins that it like just gets to work. But I've noticed that too. If you get better at like being comfortable delaying your techs more, it'll make you feel less pressure to do stuff like that. Delaying your tech is basically just you're making the assumption that your opponent isn't gonna like combo you in the next like 20 frames, which is usually fine. It's like usually the case that they won't combo you. But learning to play off like delay tech or insta tech like in different ways is like what makes this game a lot of the times too. It's like YRC, right? The slowdowns, and then also the way that tech works, because it's not like that in Plus R at all. Oh, if you had done 5k, if you had done run up 5k there instead, we would have got a better you would have actually gotten a knockdown. I missed it again. Oh, that's terrifying. I've been there. This is actually just scary. This is just plain scary against a character like Slayer, being point blank and you're just a dandy. A lot of things can happen. I'll see, like right there. Even if he does the 6p, if you delay your tech, there's a strong chance that you can still hit him with jump S. Not guaranteed, but good to like represent the option. Also, before I forget, I'm gonna write this down. I don't know if I wrote it down. Let's see. Okay. And then what was the other thing? Sorry, before I forget, I was writing some of the notes. Pretty much like the last ones I think I'll have. Ooh, that works. A lot of times I'm a chicken. I 6p there a lot of the times. I'll just get stuffed out of it if it happens, but good as on me. Oh, that's a bit of a subtle thing. So very subtle, but also very important. Knowing when you're too close to the corner to do this extension is so crucial. What you do here is you actually just do uppercut again, right? And you can try to do like a route that would do more damage off of that counter hit, but the point is you're supposed to end an uppercut, because you don't want them to splat on the wall like that, because you're too close to the corner and there's not really anything you can do about it. It's like a subtle. It takes time to recognize that, but that's a really important skill to work on as Baiken over time. Oh, did you? Oh, what happened? Oh, you should have just designed, bro. Bro, he was charging it. Oh, it sucks. That sucks. All right. Oh, he's just waiting. Yeah. See what I mean though? So this is a good example, right? Even though you do this claw and he air dashes, notice how Slayer is still not in range to do something. So like from the situation, you still have control, right? So like even though you clawed and it didn't even hit him, he did the thing that he thought he was supposed to do, but he misspaced it slightly. Is that's just how far claw pokes most of the time. That from here, a lot of things are gonna happen, right? He's gonna land right here, and because it's Slayer, you don't get to just press a button, right? If you press a button, there's a chance that he just dandies and then comes back in and destroys you for it. But you also, because you're Baiken, you always have the safe option of when he lands right here, you can just IAD back and then Tatami. And Tatami is now where you used to be, basically. It's just this, like, it's just this, it's like splatted out hitbox, like, right here. And then now you're, like, over here. So that's kind of why I say, like, Tatami is such an amazing disengage tool when you recognize situations like this. Because you're just like, actually, no, I'd rather be over here and have a Tatami in front of me. And then if he does that dandy, now he's got to block this Tatami that just came out. It's going to hit, like, where he used to be. So you can kind of, like, play off these situations as Baiken, depending on what you want to go for. There's a lot of different options. Like, you can do IAD back jump S to the Tatami. You can just claw again if you think the Slayer is gonna dandy too, but that one's more of a hard read because he could easily just press a button and stuff you out of it. You can Azami, right? Because it's one of those situations I talked about too, where as soon as you reset to neutral, chances are he'll press a button, like you Azami, but he doesn't bite. But that's what I mean, by the way, that when I say like Claw is just really strong at like covering that enormous space, and even when he tries to play around it, notice that he doesn't get that punish. Honestly, you could have even freaking Tetsuzanten. I probably would have Tetsuzanten, honestly. Not even that it's good, I just like doing it. Versio jumps out of the throw, good jump. But yeah, see, so like, actually, I did not write that. One more thing. Okay. Sorry. I had to write that down too. But yeah, see, same thing, like tech double jump, and yeah, jump H is good, but jump H loses still, right? Like it's not the end all. Air normal there. Not scary. Oh, you were slightly slow. That definitely combos. You're just a little off. Oh, it's tough. Yeah, against Slayer here, you always have to. Once the slowdown happens, as long as you don't see him in the air, like you can see he did the grounded one. Or not the grounded one, I should say. When he does this, he stays grounded. When he does this Y or C, you stay crouch blocking until you see him do like 6K, and even still 6K doesn't combo unless he counter hits you. But you can pretty much just assume that you can crouch block here, and the best thing he can do is like command grab, but he has to wait a long time for that command grab, and it'll become kind of obvious that he's going for it. Oh, the classic. Nice. Good to Tommy's. Yeah, see, that's a great example. That's actually like a great example. Like it's like one of the few times that you've done a tatami and then you've like clawed aggressively behind it like that. See how he's just doing stuff in neutral, trying to like build meter / catch you messing up, and you do this claw and it just nails him. That's like a great example of why that claw's so good. And yeah, you were a little short on the confirm, but you can also just running slash if you have faith in their mash ability. You'll get running slash knockdown, which isn't the best, but it's still a knockdown. Something. Nice. I'm surprised he got caught. He's gonna tag. Yeah. So This is just minor combo thing. The 6H gives a lot of height. Whenever you 6H someone in combos, it gives quite a bit of height. Like, look at where he is and look at where he goes after. Like, see that pop up? It gives, like, quite a bit of height. So the way that you get the knockdown here is, you don't really get much of a combo if you want the knockdown. You have to do 2H into the immediate Kuchinashi. Like, the 2H, when you hit the 2H, you let them kind of, like, descend far enough that you get a knockdown off of it. And still pretty good damage. And like if you do the 2H into the Kuchinashi, you'll also get that 5p extension. But the thing is, like, you've done so many hits now, right? To like before this combo started, because you did this whole sequence, right? You do that sweep into the tatami. That whole like 5k 2D tatami into this claw adds like so much time to your combo that even if you had done 2H Kuchinashi, when you start doing that loop, chances are you're only gonna get that first like jump forward, jump S, jump D. And then the air dash might not combo. Like, even with jump punch, it might not even combo. It's hard to say. Stuff like... I don't really keep track of stuff like that. I just kind of, like... I just do it passively. I don't think about it in matches. But it's important to recognize. And yeah, see, like, this is great. This is, like, actually... I know this looks like a meme. The only critique I would have about this is that you're in the corner doing this specifically. Like, after one of these whiffed, it's okay to, like, jump forward. Just, like, a normal jump forward to Tommy. And then keep doing the claws aggressively, but not being in the corner would help because it would give you room to do that thing I talked about where you disengage when they land in front of you. But I'm like not even kidding. Like this is so strong to do in neutral. Like see how like even when he's trying to get around it, he just ends up blocking it. Oh, that sucks. Oh, he threw you. Damn, that sucks. And you got mashed into Zami, but you didn't get it. Oh, that sucks. You could have 6P'd that. I guess he can 2K, right? Or J2K to like delay his air momentum, but you can stay on the floor and 2H that. And this is kind of like a classic problem I feel. That happens with characters like Slayer, who else? Maybe Leo, maybe Chip too. Characters that make you feel like you just want to up back. Like I've noticed you're up backing a lot, and he's already caught on to it, so he's playing around it a lot, right? Where you'll notice like quite a few of the things he's trying to do can lose easily if you're ready to wait, right? So this first one, he messes up IAD, so you could have 6P'd him. But off this second one, where he does 5k into jump S, I think you can crouch or 6P that, depending on how you feel, and punish him for doing that, right? Like, you want to look for people to go for those IAD extensions that aren't real. Is that a fuzzy attempt, I'm guessing? It would have worked if that was what it was. Oh, no, it was just run up 5P. Nice. Ooh, I don't know about that one. That one's tricky. Slayer generally like doesn't really do anything that I would say is like a zombie worthy after close / forest like that. A lot of the times he does like dandy into like under pressure, but under pressure is weird because like it's also the fact that they're gonna see like what you're doing while they're doing that input off the reset. So doing that instant Azami is pretty scary. Like, even if he under pressures, there's a chance he might be able to block. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. He also often does command grab off of far / range, which is like also what makes this scary. Right? And yeah, see, that's another example. This is hard, though. This is like just... This RPS is a dangerous game and is a very big part of what makes Slayer terrifying in the corner and also just in general. Is that when you don't IB Mappa, honestly, even IBing Mappa doesn't help that much. It just gives you some more leeway. But the point is, blocked Mappas always turn into these situations. Blocked Mappas turn into like backdash baits on buttons like that, so that they get to like re-pressure you for free off of a deity step, or they'll turn into like command grabs, or they'll read your air option out, etc. Right? But the point is, like, when Slayer guesses right in these situations, more often than not, his reward is greater than yours. It's very hard to match Slayer's reward off these exchanges, right? Because, like, if you mash and he hits you counter hit, fat reward, right? If you hold up back and he hits you with 6H, fat reward, right? Like, it's one of those things where this is his strong point, playing him there. And a lot of the times, it's why you don't want to, like, have to block those Mappas, but they're just going to happen. And you pretty much just have to win that RPS war against them every now and then. Oh, I'm surprised that was in a gold burst. Oh, tries to cheese you. All the throw the Daymendo. Just a cross up command grab. Another example, like don't be afraid to go for claws here, you know. There's a great IED back to Tommy, and then you can just claw, and it would have caught him doing that. Even if he does crosswise heal like that, it's just gonna clash. Like no matter what, it's like none of his special cancels in that situation off of Dandy are like all that great, you know. Oh, it sucks. You thought you tech forward, but you did like tech neutral air dash, right? Yeah, you did tech neutral air dash and kind of like gets awkward. That worked. That's crazy. Nice, good extension. I see. That's honestly even that's probably fine. I can't say this was terrible to do, like spending your meter there, because you had gold bar. The only reason I hold on to it is because, like I said, having 50 bar for the 50/50 is so messed up. So like having any opening in general, like I wouldn't have spent the meter here just because it's like, well, I got my knockdown. If I do my tatami correctly, I have 100 bar to mix you, which is like almost like no one survives that against Baiken, right? Even if you do like end up in a situation like that, he doesn't have any meters, so it's like it's so good to just kind of like be able to pressure your opponent there. And obviously it's tough, man, because like you have to be able to hit your Yozansens on command and stuff. But that's kind of like the character that Baiken is, right? It's I know I always describe her as like a character that cashes out really fast. Like a lot of your meters built towards that one thing usually, and then you just cash out for really big damage. Yeah, see, like those are good, and even if he's doing nothing, that's like usually fine. When people, so like for example, when he's doing nothing here in this spacing, I would say the best response to people like seeing you trying to pollute the screen and doing nothing, like if they're just standing here because you're polluting the screen with IED back to Tommy and claws. A lot of times I just walk forward, specifically just walk. I do jump forward and then I just Tommy. And now that the Tommy's here, but the reason that this is so important to do in a situation like this is because now you're standing in a range where you can do IED back to Tommy again. Like it's just, I know it sounds like a meme, but it's true. It's like it's also gonna build you passively a little meter. But it's great. Like it's continuing this idea of, yeah, sure, man, move forward. Feel free to like run into any of these, you know, like jump forward to here, Tommy splash. It's still not gonna hit you if you don't do anything. But now that I'm close to you, if you feel like moving in, guess what? Off of this spacing, I'ma just do IAD back to Tommy. Right? And it's your opponent's job to sniff that out from you when it feels like you want to try to do stuff like that. That's normally my counterplay to when people just wait like this at full screen. Where they're like, yeah, the claw doesn't, obviously if you look, the claw doesn't reach here anymore, right? That's fine. I'll just tatami forward and play in a range where the claw reaches again, right? And I'm either gonna IED back to Tommy or I'm gonna claw again, but like you can play with that idea a lot. Oh my god, that worked. Oh, and then another subtle example, right? Of had you done sweep into uppercut here, you would just get him in the corner. It'd be a knockdown. You don't have to worry about it. You get the reset. Same thing again, actually. If you had done 2H here, knock him down in the corner. Now you're like metered up. He's in the corner. You can just 50-50 him if you feel like it. Oh! Oh my god! What's happening? Damn, this is a long set. Oh, you love to see it. IED Tommy paying off. Oh, it sucks. Yeah, see another example of why you don't usually run up and do 2S. Oh, it sucks. You're late. You got cotton blocked. It was a red Azami. That's supposed to be neutral jump Tommy. Oh, it was. You just wait. It was. You just didn't expect them to be aggressive. Oh my god, bro. I get so like terrified when I see people do that to Slayer. Flashes on the reset. No, I would have blocked. Fuck. I would have hella just FD'd here. Like it's just not worth it. He has so much meter, dude. Of course he's gonna super. I would have just FD'd. You could super again, yeah, for the knockdown. my god, he doesn't confirm. Oh yeah, of course. What a way to end. All right. So I'm trying this thing now where I'm gonna analyze sets. Oh, I don't even have the game open. I don't even have the game open. I'm trying this thing where I analyze sets. So that's set analysis, right? I just did like an hour and a half of the set analysis. And I try my best to like focus on a lot of stuff early and then sort of like phase that out as I get further in the analysis. Like you'll notice I don't pause as much later on because it's a lot of like repeated instances. So I don't have to like explain them anymore. But I'm trying to do this thing where after I do that, I'm gonna open the game up, and having written some stuff down, I'm gonna take an extra like 20 minutes to kind of like talk about sort of like in general the ways that like Baiken can play around fixing the mistakes that I've noticed. I say mistakes, but they're not always mistakes. Sometimes they're just like the way that I play versus the way other people play kind of thing. But here, let's try this. Oh yeah, and if you're curious, I have these. I'll probably put these in the Google Doc to make it easier. I have them written down in Notepad right now because I'm lazy. But I'm also trying to do this more so that if I get like recurring like people trying to get their analysis done, it'll be like the things that they can look back at and be like, oh, I do this like quite a lot, where I mess this up quite a lot. I didn't really write, actually I forgot to write more matchup specifics against later matches, but that's fine. But yeah, like with you, I noticed it's like doing the right amount of hits after JD mid-screen enders is like really important. Hiding back and doing that claw stuff. I had even written this down before this layer set. I had noticed you'd never really done it in much in neutral. And then after people block Tatami, like in pretty much any situation, you want to pick a better normal than 2S. I saw you picking 2S a lot. And then obviously general advice working on JD loops. I noticed them like more often than not like going into resets, and you don't want that. You want knockdowns. And then learning to play off the latex will help too. Let me see, like capture. Use notes on the side. There we go. So yeah, if anyone hadn't noticed, right, I'll try to show. She gets different knockdowns based on the weight of the character, right? So example, if I do this into this, and then I do my normal ender, Heihyun is already essentially just like awake, right? And then I think she has a normal wake up time when she's doing like the face up one, not the face down one, right? So like face down like that, or face down like that. But if you notice, her JD enders are face up, right? Heihyun, if I'm not mistaken, has a normal face up wake up time. But if you see, even if I do this to Tommy's set, it's hitting like very late. And the reason this matters is for reversals specifically. If characters have reversals and you're this late, you're pretty much gonna get smoked before you recover fast enough. Which is why you want to do extra hits, right? So now I'll add like an extra punch if I can to this combo. Oh, I have to do jump S. Okay, do it like this then. Ah, see. Oh my goodness, oh, they can't do it. Oh, is it the same? I might be thinking of a different situation. I know against these characters, I have like a... Oh, I might be just do this against them. I think heavyweights fall so fast you can't actually do that. Knockdown, maybe. Might have to do this. Yeah, but see, this is a better example, right? This isn't the best Tatami. You could space this a little better. But the idea is still there. Of it's hitting and I'm already recovered. Like, it's hitting late, you know? I'm curious how I would get it to hit with the good hit and also like be meaty. But I wonder if that's still like a height thing. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, you can see that like even when I do this one, I'm so bad at doing running air dash Tatami. Like that. I did it a little late, but Heihyun still has so much time to wake up, right? If I don't add hits normally, that it's just worth adding those extra hits. And you'll notice the difference a lot more on other characters too. that's like a subtle thing. So like that's a heavyweight. Then we'll try like a lightweight to show like an example of like the distance traveled like between the two. And it's always going to depend on like a lot of factors. Sometimes you're really close to them and you want to add extra hits. Sometimes you're really far and like you have to overshoot. Alright, so like notice how like late this is hitting against Dizzy. Whoops. A game alt tab. Dizzy's a lot lighter, right? She's lightweight, so doing just a normal set is gonna do like an okay meaty timing on her. See how obviously I ironically enough this creates another problem, but notice how because she took so long to hit the floor off JD because of her difference in weight class, the Tatami is very safe. Like it's hidden super meaty. The problem is that lightweights often get pushed so far out that you have to fix it. You have to fix the tatami spacing specifically so that you get this hitbox so that people flop up when they get hit. So there's like different problems that go into it. And a lot of this is based on like where you are on screen too. I talked about how when you're in these spots against characters, you don't really want to do JD all the time unless you're like close enough to actually get the ender. A lot of the times on hit confirms, you'll do this instead, so that you can get that safe tatami set like that. Like another thing to notice about like playing Baiken, same thing with if you do jump forward is not the same as jump back. Jump forward actually makes it take longer for the screen to become full screen versus jumping back. So sometimes you'll see me jump back in confirms like that because I want the screen corner to be cut off before they reach it, before they wall bounce at low altitude. But I'm kind of going into a tangent. The idea here is like you want to know who to add hits to and who not to add hits to, and when not to do that kind of thing. Like lightweights, a lot of the times, if you hit them already like kind of in the air, like if they get caught by a random thing. Like if they get caught by like this in neutral and you do like this, sometimes you give them too much height that like setups like this are just too shallow because of how far they flew. And then against heavyweights, sometimes like you need to worry about giving them height. Like sometimes if the hitbox reaches, I'll do like jump K. I'll do something like this against heavyweights. I think maybe that works against Heihyun. But the idea is I try to give them that extra height so that where is she? There she is. So that I get very good tatami oki is the idea. And you can work on this. Like a lot of the times I just kind of like recognize it, having played the game so long that I just recognize the situations most of the time. Yeah, like that's a lot better to do against someone like her. That's a lot better. It gives a better height, just slightly. But noticing that, like mid screen, same thing with noticing distances. So like if you hit people from really far away, it's not the same as hitting them from really up close with jump D like this. A lot of the times you need to overshoot those, and you need to do like different methods of tatami spacing. Let me see. And then again, like with you specifically, I noticed you don't really do that much. The reason this is great is because like look at how that tatami protects the startup of claw like that, right? It basically makes the claw feel way less committal in neutral in general because you can't run up and like stuff her out of this claw anymore. She just kind of gets to like poke at you for free like this. And if you do it at the right spacings, you'll notice that like it's perfect there, right? Like if they didn't move for any reason, that whole sequence is just so good. But most of the time it looks like that, right? Like the tatami catches them moving forward and the claw backs it up. And the idea is if people want to jump around that, then you can do a claw like that. Right? And because you've disengaged off this tatami, you're so far that even if they try punishing up claw like by running forward, it's more than likely not going to happen. Like because like I said, they have to wait for that tatami to finish. This like initial tatami splat, they have to wait. So a lot of the startup is covered and the claw doesn't have much end lag. So unless you have alternative ways of moving on the screen, or you're a character that can take advantage of this kind of thing and then try to like set up zoning instead, it's pretty tough to interact with that, and it's like why the claw is so high value in that way. What else? Do I want to play for a bit? Sure. Let me just finish up this. I'm almost done. I mean, like 15 maybe. Yeah, maybe not even 15. I only have one more thing to talk about. But the other thing I noticed is you do run up 2S a lot. In neutral, I don't think it's the worst thing. I don't have a lot of faith in this button. But that's because I'm very confident in being able to do that instead. Like most of the time, my neutral tool you'll see me use is like this. It's just like Kia Tatame because I'm just very confident in being able to press it when I need to, like that. But like 2S is okay. I think I'm a bigger fan of doing like, instead of running up deeper with 2S like that, I'd say run up shallow and do claws a little more like that. Claws are a lot safer in general. And then I noticed every time you ended tatamis, you would always run up in 2S like that. And you don't really need to do that. The tatamis are so plus that like you can usually run up like pretty fat with like a 2K unless they're like literally holding up, and then if they're holding up like that, you can start running up with like, I like 5K more. Or I'll just do raw claws like that from that distance. But because you were running up with 2S, this would happen quite a bit. You would like tatami and you would run up and you would 2S like this. Like that, and you would miss that confirm, right? Where if you ran up and you were doing nothing, you can react to that situation, right? You'll see me react quite often to that situation. Because I'm already mid-run, trying to run in for 2K like that. So if people get smoked as I'm running, I just hold up forward and I press jump P. Like it's just automatic at that point, right? Like I'm so used to seeing that situation that it's just automatic like that. Oh, and then I think actually this is an example of the thing I was talking about. Let me see. It probably would be if I picked the lighter character. Let me see. That idea of like doing different tatami sets. Like I can't always do delayed air dash if people are too close to the corner. That would maybe work on a midway. But yeah, kind of like a side point. Maybe I'll talk about that in another video. But for you specifically, I noticed that. And then obviously we're working on your combos. I feel that the way that you were playing, you were very airborne, so it was very hard to get a grasp of your block strings in general. I didn't really get to see too many of them. But they seemed mostly okay. It was just that you were in the air a lot. Like and things would mess up. You'd always kind of like do this a lot as Baiken. And that's tough because this is just kind of like superior to that. But it's hard to do these on command like that, right? But I think these are just so strong. They're like a really important thing about what makes her in those situations. And they'll make it feel like it's easier for you to play grounded because you can always do that to reset to neutral further away from them. Like that. Right? But yeah, that's pretty much it. As far as I can think of. Like I'm down to go with that and then go from here. I'm gonna kill my stream really quick and then I'm gonna restart because it makes the VOD easier to download. But hopefully that helped. If you ever have like questions, like when you go over this video, if you have questions, just like message me on Discord. I'll try to like explain concepts better. Yeah, hopefully that helped.